Sunday was the hottest day ever recorded in Las Vegas. The mercury hit 120 degrees yesterday. That's 16 degrees above its normal average July temperature of 104.
Las Vegas's streak has been just incredible. They have now had 7 consecutive days with that temperature at 115 or hotter. That breaks records. It's unprecedented. They've had 3 days over 118 degrees. Again, unprecedented heat.
Mojave natives they're pretty tough, but interestingly enough, some of the desert plants from other desert climates, they're even having a hard time with it.
Dieback on the margin and tip of leaf.
We broke 16 records since the beginning of June in terms of heat, and so I'm seeing damage on plants that have never shown damage before. 120 is way outside the norm. 115, 116, we're used to that. But this extended period of heat and the really high heat loads, including hot nights, has really stressed some plants out, and we're really starting to see the damage to that.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna and welcome to Cactus Caffeine. It is summer and I'm just going to give you guys a quick update on what's been going on here in my backyard. So summer this year has been very brutal. It is so hot. We actually set a record in terms of temperature. The hottest temperature that we've set this year is 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that is the hottest ever that Las Vegas has experienced. And right now I am filming this video and it is already 7 p.m. and we are still at 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, I will make this really quick because it is hot even though it's already 7 p.m. I recently made a post in Instagram, I think. Yeah, Instagram and in Facebook. I cross-posted it in Facebook. And I told you guys how my backyard recently looks like a haunted mansion's backyard with all this covering, the shade cloth covering my plants. See, even this section where I have my columnars, they have to have a shade cloth. And then moving around here, this table, that chair, that table, so there's shade cloth everywhere. I even put a 40% shade cloth on my golden barrel. Even though this golden barrel is very hardy, I just don't want it to have burn marks. And then also here at the back, as you can see, everything is covered by shade cloth. I have an opuntia here that is turning yellow, so I had to cover it. There's some Trichocereus there. Those are very hardy and yet they are turning yellow from the excessive heat and sun that we are having this year, so I had to put an extra protection of shade cloth on them. On this section, actually, I already have a 50% shade cloth on top, but then I have some gaps on my shade cloth. That's why I have to add more protection on certain racks. See this rack too? I had to cover it up because there is an opening here, and a few hours during the day, maybe only around 2 to 3 hours, this would get hit by direct sunlight. But because of the excessive heat, that 2 to 3 hours of sunlight is enough to burn whatever is underneath the shade cloth, all the cacti, aloes. They are starting to show some burning, so I decided to add a layer of shade cloth on top of this. Here are my desert garden. I also have a 50% shade cloth on top of it. I'm going to show you guys the cacti that are underneath the shade cloth on this table. Alright, so they are not looking their best. Some of them look shriveled, but yet some of them are still pushing flowers. Like this Gymnocalycium has flower buds. And also this Echinopsis mirabilis. This is non-stop flowering despite the heat. See, I have a lot of fruits to harvest with seeds. Ooh, look at that. It's full of seeds. All right, I'll set it down here first. So they're still pushing flowers, some of them at least. But I noticed that the flowers during this time when it is very, very hot, the flowers, they develop fast, but then they turn out to be smaller. See also on this side, this astrophytum is producing another flower on top. I think that's already the third flower for this cactus this year. And then this Echinopsis. See how short? Usually this stem will be longer during springtime and the flower would be larger. I think this will open up in about 2 days, but I could see that the flower bud is much smaller than when it was during some springtime. And some of them would actually abort their buds. This one I think is aborted due to excessive heat. So they would start forming, but then they would later on abort their buds. Yep, all aborted. Many of my cacti are in their fruit forming stage. You see those little red berry like structures on top. Those are fruits that hopefully contains lots of seeds inside. This is, by the way, Cactus satis. This is non-stop blooming and non-stop forming fruits. See, I have more fruits or seed pods to harvest on my other cactus right there. That one is a parodia. And mammillarias, they're starting to grow their fruits as well. Usually mammillarias would develop their fruits like weeks after they flower. Another new thing that we installed here in our backyard is this misting system. I will insert a video here when this misting system is on during the daytime when you can see it much better. Actually, my husband installed this misting system not for the plants, but more for us, for when we are out here in the backyard during summertime. But I noticed that they actually help bring down the temperature for a short period of time at this section of my yard. However, in this section, since this section is open all around and the hot wind just constantly blows here, the misting system does not actually bring down the temperature on this section of my yard. I would turn on this misting system for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that is enough to bring the temperature down for about 5 degrees, and that would last for about an hour before the temperature goes back up again. So it is very temporary. I would say I would have to do it frequently all throughout the day for me to really bring down the temperature in this yard. My misting system is connected to a 5-gallon bucket, and I timed it. 5 gallons will be consumed in about 25 minutes if I run the misting system non-stop. So it does consume a lot of water, so I don't use it every day, but it did get my cacti through the days when we were consistently having temperatures over 115 degrees for about 1 week straight. So during those days, I had to run my mister like every 2 hours, at least during the hottest part of the day, and somehow I think it helped. And if you are wondering if my cacti did not rot, no, they did not, because the mist is actually very fine, that the soil did not get wet. Only the cactus itself would get wet, but then as soon as I turn the misting system off, because our weather is very dry here, we have very low humidity, everything dries up in about 10 minutes. So even though the cactus itself would get wet, after about 10 minutes, everything is dry. Despite all the precautions that I make, I still have some casualties and damages. So this is my aloe swordfish. See, it has turned yellow even though it was under a shade cloth. It just couldn't handle the extreme heat. And then I have a few grafts here that melted in the heat and the sun. And then asclepiads, they are not very heat tolerant even though this is under full shade. This is my peanut cactus that looks so shriveled despite being watered, despite being under the shade and directly under the misting system. I learned something new from Norm Schilling, and he said drought tolerant does not necessarily mean heat tolerant. And I think this is one of those cacti that may be drought tolerant, but they are not able to handle at least the level of heat that we are having right now. Heat plus very dry air, very low humidity. I might have to move this indoors. I already have all my Thanksgiving cacti indoors very early during the start of the summer, and they are doing fine indoors. So this might have to go inside the house as well. In terms of watering, I water them twice a week, although I only water them heavily one time a week. And then the second time that I water during the week, it's more of like just a shower, just getting the top of the soil wet and not really a thorough watering. So I only water deeply right now once a week. But I am also careful in terms of watering some cacti that go dormant during the summer. Especially I noticed Rebuteus and Sulcorebuteus, they go dormant during my summertime, and I've melted a lot of Rebuteus and Sulcorebuteus during summer in the previous years. So I am very careful in terms of watering them. I just give them a little water during the summertime. For my cacti in the garden, I water them heavily once a week. And definitely no fertilizer at this time of the year. I would probably be applying fertilizer again when the temperature cools down or around fall season. I have to be very careful in terms of watering them. I cannot give them too much water. When their roots are not taking up the water, they will rot. And I cannot give them very little water as well, because some cacti, their roots will get desiccated if they are dry for a very long period of time. Alright, time to wrap up this video since it is getting very dark. But like I said, even though it is nighttime, our temperature is still very high. We are still over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That is actually another challenge in growing these cacti in the desert during summertime. Our nighttime temperatures here do not drop significantly. Even though it's already 12 midnight, our temperatures can still be in the 90s. Cacti open their stomates at night, and that's when they do their gas exchange and the taking up of the water through their roots. But at this temperature, I am not really sure how much they open their stomates or how long they have their stomates open, since even at nighttime it is like daytime temperatures in some parts of the world. It is very hot, so that is a challenge again of growing these cacti in the desert. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, follow me on Facebook and in Instagram, and until next time, bye everyone, and cheers!